Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a Week 2 NFL recap. We're going to be going over the big things that happened in each game in about 1 minute per game and what we need to know for Week 3. Let's start off with the Thursday night football game, Vikings versus the Eagles. The big story here was Vikings with 4 fumbles, all recovered by Philadelphia. Can't win games like that. Also, the Justin Jefferson fumble at the goal line that went through the back of the end zone ended up being a touchback. Huge play that affected this game. A couple highlight performances. DeAndre Swift, career game, 28 carries, 175 yards, and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins also, great game, especially with that D-line getting after him every play. 31 of 44, 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Despite having 4 turnovers, Minnesota kept it close. Final score was 34-28. The Eagles take this one. Moving on to the 1 p.m. slate on Sunday, the Raiders and the Bills faced off, and Josh Allen had his way. 31 of 37, 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. This was what you would call a revenge game for him, really an important one to get back on track after that really bad Jets performance. Josh Jacobs, though, game to forget, 9 carries, -2 yards rushing. Really rough game on the ground for him. And on the other side of that, James Cook had a breakout game on the ground. 17 carries, 123 yards, 7.2 yards per carry. Amazing game from James Cook. Highlight play was Matt Milano with a pick over Josh Jacobs' head. Just took it off his back. Crazy play. The Bills handled this one pretty easily, 38 to the Raiders 10. The Ravens and the Bengals squared off in a game that was seen by many to be game of the week. Lamar Jackson really looked good with 237 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, and 54 yards rushing. The Bengals defensive line did not look good. They had no sacks, barely any pressures, and Lamar was really just having his way with whatever he wanted. Joe Burrow was once again limited with his calf, and it actually got worse throughout the game as he was seen on the sideline with the massage gun treating it. Lamar Jackson had a highlight play to Zay Flowers where Zay Flowers went up and got it, kind of looking like Prime AB. This connection between Lamar and Zay Flowers could be really dangerous. And at the end of the game also, Lamar with a perfect ball to Nelson Agholor, who's a new Raven, over his shoulder, adjusted touchdown. The Ravens win this one 27-24 against Cincinnati. The Seahawks and the Lions squared off in a game last year that was super high scoring, and it was a lot of the same this year. Geno Smith versus Jared Goff, great QB performances by both, but Jared Goff lost his streak without an interception, throwing a pick 6 in the fourth quarter that was actually huge in the result of this game. Also a huge flea flicker before half from Goff to Khalif Raymond for a touchdown. Great play call by Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator of the Lions. Jason Myers was 0 of 2 of field goals in the first half also. Didn't help the Seahawks here. But Kenneth Walker, on the other hand, with 2 rushing touchdowns, did. 2 other players had 2 touchdowns, being Josh Reynolds and Tyler Lockett. And Tyler Lockett's second touchdown was to win it in overtime. The Seahawks took this one 37 to Detroit's 31. The Chargers and Titans is a game that many people didn't think would be close, but no turnovers in this game, kept it pretty close. Chargers 2 of 14 on third down, definitely kept it close. And Keenan Allen did all he could. 8 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. But the Chargers couldn't come away with this one without Austin Eckler playing and nothing cooking in overtime for them. The Titans went down, kicked a field goal. They won 27 to the Chargers 24. The Bears and the Buccaneers squared off, and Baker again looking above average. Very surprising. 317 yards and a touchdown. All you want from him is take care of the ball, and he's been doing that very well and more. Mike Evans had a huge day. 6 catches, 171 yards, 1 touchdown. The Bears pass rush again had a really lackluster day, no sacks. The Bears blocked the Tampa Bay field goal. Great play there to keep them in this game. But we have a lot of questions about Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator of the Bears, and also Justin Fields, who threw 2 picks, one being a pick 6 on a repeated screenplay call. We have so many questions about the Bears, especially with their offensive play calling and Fields' play. The Buccaneers took this one 27-17 over the Bears. Another highly anticipated game is the Chiefs versus the Jaguars, and we thought this was going to be offensive fireworks, but it actually ended up being a defensive showdown. The Chiefs clearly miss Eric Bieniemy is one of my big takeaways because they have regressed a bit on offense, and I know they could get back to it and get into their groove, and a lot of it falls on the wide receiver core, but Eric Bieniemy was a major key, and saying he wasn't is discounting his performance for that team. Christian Kirk had a massive day in this game, 11 receptions, 110 yards, and one of the main themes of this game was fumbles. 7 fumbles in this game is ridiculous. The Chiefs ended up holding on to this one 17-9 in a very low-scoring game, especially for these two teams. Richie James muffed a punt in his own red zone, tried to get the Jags back in it, but Chris Jones, 1.5 sacks, was a dominant force again on the D-line, and the Chiefs hold on to this one 17-9. The Colts and the Texans squared off in an AFC South matchup where Anthony Richardson started out with 2 rushing touchdowns very early in the game before getting knocked out with a concussion. Didn't want to see that happen. Gardner Minshew came in to back up and actually had a great day. 19 of 23, 171 yards and a touchdown. CJ Stroud as well on the other side. He's been awesome as a rookie. He's been the best rookie so far, quarterback-wise. Him and Anthony Richardson are pretty close, but 30 of 47, 384 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Nico Collins was a big factor in this game. 7 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. And the Colts defense, again, was taking advantage of this pretty weak Texans O-line with 6 sacks on CJ Stroud in this game. The Colts win this one pretty handily, 31-20. The 49ers and the Rams squared off in an NFC West matchup. And Christian McCaffrey, man, 11 games in a row at the touchdown. 20 carries, 116 yards, touchdown. Puka Nacua, such a story, rookie out of BYU, 5th round pick, had 15 catches, 147 yards. He now has the record for catches in first 2 games of career. So Puka Nacua making history out of BYU, 5th round rookie. What a story. He's been awesome playing that Cooper Kupp role. Surprisingly, only 2 sacks in this game, thinking that the 49ers would get way more, but nope, 1 apiece for each team. Brandon Ayuk was hurt twice in this game. He got hurt early, I believe it was the shoulder, and then came back, got re-injured, came out again. Stafford had a bad pick late in the 4th, but other than that, pretty solid game. And the Rams kept it close, but the 49ers took it 30-23. The Giants versus Cardinals was upset alert all week. Everyone was looking at it, and the Cardinals led 20-0 at halftime. Everyone was stunned. This Giants team was... All kinds of things were being said about this Giants team. Very deservingly, though. Daniel Jones put up 380 all-purpose yards to come back in this one. 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. James Conner did his best, though. 23 carries, 106 yards, 1 touchdown. But this ended up being the largest comeback in Giants history. Giants win this one 31 to Arizona's 28. Saquon Barkley got an ankle sprain. He looks to be out for about 3 weeks, but he did have 2 touchdowns in this game and contribute heavily to them coming back and winning this one. Jets versus Cowboys isn't as hyped as it would have been if Aaron Rodgers was healthy, but still a cool matchup. And Micah Parsons again made his presence known like he usually does. 2 sacks, 3 TFLs, 1 fumble recovery. He is a beast. Zach Wilson, rough day, 12 of 27, 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. Can't be having that. Looks like they will be getting a replacement for him probably. But other guys that were surprisingly bad. Breece Hall had 4 carries, and he made it publicly known on social media he was not happy about it, with 9 yards. CeeDee Lamb had a great day, 11 receptions, 143 yards. Garrett Wilson had a 68-yard slant route that he took for a touchdown, saved my fantasy team. Dak had a good day, 31 of 38, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and the Cowboys really just controlled this whole game. They won 30-10. The Commanders and the Broncos came down to the wire. What a game. First of all, the Commanders' defensive line with Chase Young now having a sack and a half in this game and being back healthy. 7 sacks for that Commanders' D-line. Great game for them. Brian Robinson also 2 rush touchdowns, 87 yards. Howell had a good game, 27 of 39, 299 yards, 2 touchdowns. Russ on the other side, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. We got rookie Marvin Mims that went for 113 yards and a touchdown. And then Brandon Johnson, as the clock expired, catching the tip Hail Mary to put them in position to tie it with a 2-point conversion. It was 35-33. And at the end of regulation, then the Broncos went for 2 like they had to tie it. There was a clear PI on Courtland Sutton. No one threw a flag. And this game ended 35-33. The Commanders took it. The Packers and the Falcons was a tough game to pick because both these teams are good in their respective ways. Jordan Love, again, 3 touchdowns, had a pretty solid day. 14 of 25, 151 yards. Didn't contribute a ton, but again, he's been solid in his role and not turning it over early in his career as a starter. Bijan Robinson, though, he looks top 10, maybe top 5 as a running back. 19 carries, 124 yards, highlight plays. His jukes, his body control is ridiculous. Jaden Reed, rookie out of Michigan State, 2 touchdowns for the Packers. Looks like Love's favorite target for now, while Watson is out at least. Again, this was a low sack game, 2 sacks total, 1 for each team. Atlanta dominated this game, 448 yards compared to Green Bay's 235 yards total. So you can really see who won it, double the yards basically for Atlanta. But Atlanta won this game only by 1, so way closer than the yards would say. Ridder had an early interception when his arm got hit. And there's still a lot of question marks around Ridder, but Atlanta takes this one. The Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots squared off on Sunday Night Football. Pretty fun duel in the AFC East. And we'll call this one the Raheem Mostert game. 18 carries, 121 yards, and 2 touchdowns was huge for the Dolphins in this night. Mac Jones also looks much improved. 31 of 42, 231 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 kind of bad pick in the red zone. But it happens to everyone, as you've seen this year so far. Bradley Chubb had a forced fumble in the first quarter. He punched it out from Demario Douglas, rookie wide receiver from Liberty on the Patriots. Waddle had a really nice 32-yard screen play. But one of my favorite plays of the night was Christian Gonzalez going up with an athletic interception of Tua. He's awesome. I loved him at Oregon. I loved him as a prospect. And the Patriots and Belichick will make him a beast for sure. Mac Jones, that interception I described to Xavier Howard, was a pretty rough one in the red zone and ended up being a big deal in this game, as this game ended up being close. Mostert with a huge burst for a fourth quarter touchdown kind of put this one away for the most part. Another highlight play that was super fun is the Patriots having a motion guy on a field goal block come off the edge and block it on the run. Super cool. And then a crazy pitch play to end the game that was thrown back to a lineman that dove trying to get the first down, and they fall just short. The Patriots lose this one on Sunday Night Football 24-17 to the Dolphins. There were 2 Monday night games on the slate this week. First was Saints-Panthers, and it was kind of a stale game, but for the most part, the highlights were Taysom Hill getting involved in the running game like he usually does, and Michael Thomas kind of back. Having a highlight catch in the red zone was super fun to see again. Derek Carr still concerns me. He had a pick into triple coverage. Von Bell, new free agent acquisition from the Bengals for the Panthers, made that pick, and there was just a lot of miscommunication between Carr and Michael Thomas. Thielen looks like Bryce Young's favorite target, even though there's no good target on that Panthers team. No one can create separation, especially against a pretty good Saints secondary. Olave had a deep circus catch, laid out, tipped it up to himself with one hand. Great catch. Jamal Williams got injured, so he will be out for the next couple of weeks, most likely. They list him as week to week on the injury report. But Tony Jones Jr. stepped in for him and had 2 rushing touchdowns. So if you're a fantasy guy, maybe look for him on the waivers. Rashid Shaheed had another deep ball late in the fourth quarter, as he did in week 1. Kind of a cool story. He's kind of like their guy to go to late in the games, and he is explosive, super speedy. The Saints end up winning this one 22-17 over the Panthers. The second Monday night game of the week was Browns versus Steelers, and man, was it a typical AFC North matchup. First play of the game, pick 6, Alex Highsmith. It gets tipped up in the air. He takes it back to the house. From there on, chaotic game. Kenny Pickett gets it back, throws a bad pick in the red zone, and then Deshaun Watson ends up fumbling on a 4th down. We get it right back, the Steelers being. Gunnar Olszewski fumbles. The Browns get it in the red zone. Then Nick Chubb, the worst part of the night was Nick Chubb with his knee injury, absolutely catastrophic knee injury. Prayers for him. It's really one of those things where you just don't want to see the game continue because it's not about football at that point. So prayers for Nick Chubb, and I really hope to see him back out on the field. George Pickens had a dig route, 71-yard touchdown, finally had an explosive play. The Steelers never took a snap on the Browns 30 or less, which is a crazy stat. Shows you how much the defense did for us this night. Jerome Ford, the backup running back for the Browns, who is now the number 1 guy with Chubb being out, had a 69-yard bounce-out run that was misplayed by Levi Wallace. But man, what a run. Jerome Ford is electric, and he will step right into that role behind that really good offensive line. David Njoku had a huge fumble in the fourth quarter that gave the Steelers back the ball. Absolutely major play. Alex Highsmith strip sack, and TJ Watt recovered it for a touchdown to go up in the fourth quarter. Electric, had Pittsburgh bumping. And then to end the game, questionable pass interference on the last play. Joey Porter was all over him. I would have called a pass interference for sure. in a questionable way. I hate ending a game that way, but what a game it was. The Steelers had more points on defense than they did on offense. 14 on defense and 12 on offense. Shows you where they lie currently. So many questions with Matt Canada and Kenny Pickett's poor play. Not good for the Steelers. Also on the other side, the Browns with Deshaun Watson. That's a big contract to not be scoring points. And both questions for both offenses loom very large. TJ Watt's stats were 1 sack, 2 TFLs, 4 QB hits, and a touchdown. He also has the all-time sack record for the Steelers now, which is a pretty prominent franchise to be having that record for. Alex Highsmith, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 1 forced fumble, and 1 pick six. What a night for that edge duo. The Steelers take this one in Pittsburgh, 26-22 over the Cleveland Browns. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with the Week 3 recap.